After a bye week, the Wolverines are back in action with a traditional feel to a Big Ten matchup other than the October weather forecast. Welcome into our game day edition of Inside Michigan Football with John Jansen and Jack Miller. I'm Brian Bush. Let's get you ready for the Wolverines and the Badgers. Michigan's first bye week, or improvement week as it's known around Ann Arbor, is in the books. The Wolverines have had 2 weeks to gear up for this one after an outstanding win at Nebraska. There was plenty to build on in that game. Justice Haynes' fourth straight game of 100-plus rushing yards. Jordan Marshall with 80 yards on the ground on just 6 carries. And defensively, wow, 7 sacks of Dylan Raiola, including 1.5 each from Rayshawn Benny and Derek Moore. But around here, you're only as good as your next game, your next practice. And the last 2 weeks have given players an opportunity to make a statement. Here's head coach Sharon Moore.
They always understand that we always talk about from the beginning of the year, we don't control the depth chart. The depth chart is a living, flowing organism, and it continues to change week by week. And this is a long season. This is game 4. So we just had game 4. We're into game 5. So we're in the second quarter of the season, and all we can do is worry about this game.
So guys, as Coach Moore expected, 4 games in. John, your thoughts on the Michigan offense?
Still a lot of work, a lot of development. Bryce, the quarterback, he's got those 4 games. Now he's had a week to really dig in and review those games. The offensive line, kind of the same thing with a lot of change in parts up front. I'm really hoping that we find that number 1 receiver. And whether it's Donovan McCulley, it's young guy Andrew Marsh, Channing Goodwin, there's a lot of good options, but we've got to find that one guy that we have confidence in. When we've got to have a first down, we've got to have a score. Who are we looking for first?
Yeah, I think the offense has been good, and there's so much room to improve still. And you go across the board, all these different games, you can see, obviously, Bryce has played pretty well so far. The running back position's been really solid. Offensive line looks great against Nebraska. And then Marlon Klein week 1 with what he did. This is a big test today against the Badgers, a really good run defense. Can a wide receiver stand out, and can that group get going? That's what we're going to be looking for.
How about defensively, Jack, your takeaways early on?
Yeah, I think really good. And I look back to last year and think about, as the year went on, how much more they improved throughout the season. Wink seems to be really gelling with those guys. Jayshawn Barham going to edge, what that's done already. I look for more of that as the season goes on. You think about how they gel and come together. Should be a good year for the rest of the defense.
Well, and it really helps having that veteran presence of Rod Moore now in the secondary. And Wink has talked about the youth in that secondary. Some of it's had to play sooner than maybe they wanted to because of the injuries, but now all of a sudden you've got that veteran presence back there, getting everybody lined up right, and really not telling them what to do, but confirming. And sometimes on the field, that's all you need, is that confirmation that I'm doing the right thing at the right time. And the rest of the defense as a whole, I'm excited to see what they are as we get further into the Big Ten season because of the creativity of Wink Martindale and the ability to use Jayshawn in creative ways, Ernie in creative ways, really that whole linebacking group, because we see Cole kind of interchangeable with Jayshawn, and then what they're doing opposite. Whether it's just, hey, go win a one-on-one matchup, or if they're going to work some games on the other side, it's really going to be fun to see how they continue to improve and the different ways they attack the quarterback. In fact, I had a chance to catch up with Wink Martindale, defensive coordinator, just a few minutes ago. I've watched all these Big Ten teams, and nobody plays with the violence and aggression on defense. How do you bring that out in the guys that you're coaching?
Well, I think right now, the credit goes to the position coaches, because I've told them that each group takes on the personality of each position coach, and they've really taken that and run with it. But the players themselves, we have more depth, and it's, really a thing of, whoever practices the best during the week is going to play more, and you're seeing that they're developing better and better habits each day in practice.
Rod Moore was the first time that you, as defense coordinator, have seen him on the field in game. What did you see when he was on the field? What does he bring to this defense as a player?
Well, he calms everything down because the game's slow to him because of all the experience that he has. And, it was one of those things that in that game, I didn't even know he was going in the game that I was like, hey, 19's out there. But, no, I think that, each week he'll get better. Every day he'll get better. And, we're looking for some good things out of Rod.
You've mentioned the youth in that secondary. Some of it's been very productive. You've also had some youthful moments. Are you, in this bye week, were you hoping to be able to take those guys to the next level, and how do you get there with them?
Well, I think it's going to take more than just a bye week, when you talk about inexperience. The way that they play better is, keep playing more and have different experiences. But yeah, we did a lot of fundamentals and a lot of technique with them, and you know, we saw some improvement last week.
You mentioned at the start of camp that you start with the base, you build it from there on up. Where are you at in how much you want to see this defense be able to do in terms of being able to call defenses and different formations for them?
Well, I think that, you know, that's a process as well as throughout the season. You know, we are able to get into some different looks, and, you know, especially with a player like Jay-Sean, you know, who's playing all over the place now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Wisconsin, they're a team that uses a lot of trick plays, a lot of junk. How do you prepare for it? I know Central Michigan did that. How do you prepare for that for a Big Ten school?
He said that.
Yes, I did. I can watch film and see what I'm saying. Because
I'm with
they
you.
don't really have the identity of a true Wisconsin team.
And I think they're still in the search of that. You know, you heard Coach Fickle talk about that, about finding their identity, and it's going to be a great challenge for us today.
You heard from John and Jack. You heard from Wink about Rod Moore's return. Let's hear from the man himself, two-time captain Rod Moore.
It was real emotional. You know, it's been like, I think it was 16 months since I played football. So, you know, I was a little nervous, had the little jitters and shakes, but got a tackle on the second play, so it kind of went away. But it was real fun.
I loved how Sherrone Moore, Michigan head coach, told you, John, on the Monday radio show about Rod Moore. He sees the defense from a balcony view. I know he didn't play the full selection of snaps against Nebraska, but anytime Rod's on the field, it's a big advantage for Michigan.
It is, and when you've got that guy in the back end that has a complete view of the field, what's going on with the linebackers, what's that defensive front doing, and he can make adjustments. He really is that coach on the field. We've heard so many guys talk about him as a coach on the sidelines, in the meeting rooms. Now all of a sudden you get that presence and that knowledge on the field. I'm just really excited that we saw a little bit against Nebraska. We'll see more against Wisconsin and more as we get throughout the course of the season.
It's unfortunate that Rod's been injured, you know, over the course of the last 16 months, but getting a chance to see him, whether it was 2 spring balls or last season, the beginning of this season on the field, the way he coaches those guys, the way he gives them confirmation, the leader, even not playing. Now that he's back out there, think of the confidence level that brings up for that entire defense. We know where we're supposed to be, we know our position, and we can go fly around and do it. It's like having your grandfather on the field. Everybody just feels comfortable and they know their job and how to execute.
Michigan's assignment here in this one is a Wisconsin team off to a 2-2 start, but the thing they excel at, run defense. They've given up 200 total rushing yards. That's 50 a game. Here's head coach Sherrone Moore on that Wisconsin rush defense.
They got 2 guys in the middle that are about 6'4", 235, stout run guys, and the safeties and corners all hit. It's a, you know, typical Mike Tressel defense. Plays physical, plays downhill. So we've got to be sound and we've got to be able to go execute our game plan the way I think we can.
Through 5 weeks, Wisconsin boasts the best run defense in the country. I had a chance to catch up with Coach Steve Kasula and hear what it's going to take from the tight ends and the running game to overcome that challenge. What do you see on film from them that's been so successful?
Yeah, it's not by accident, not by mistake. They execute the scheme of their defense sound. You can tell that they're coached well to defeat blocks, good tacklers both in space and closed spaces. And then they've got good players. They've got good depth. You know, they consistently play 6, 7, 8 guys along the defensive front. And I really think highly of their 2 inside linebackers. Both really good players, and then their safeties are super involved in defending the run too. So earned, certainly, like not one of those like stats you see that kind of surprises you when you turn on the tape. It definitely pops that they can defend the run.
So you got 4 guys at the tight end position getting a lot of touches right now. What's your personal method or opinion on how to get those guys reps, who gets certain reps and different plays? What's your opinion on all that?
Yeah, so like we have a huge sample size of kind of what each guy is best at. We're fortunate that we do have a lot of guys with experience and ability and talent that we can kind of specialize certain things that we ask them to do within the framework of the pass game or the run game. While at the same time, when you do that, you gotta be mindful of tendencies and whatnot. But really, like when we get to the game, putting our best players to do the things they're best at. And that's kind of, like, it's fun kind of piecing that all together and specializing in it.
So Coach, I know you take a lot of pride in your tight end group being the hardest working, most physical group on the field at each time.
Sure.
Through 4 weeks, assess their performance. How's it going?
We're playing good. I think it's time for us to go play great. And that I'm talking about myself too. We've been consistent. We've played solid. We've played a lot of guys. The time is now to make a move and play at a really high level.
We've heard about the stats. We've heard from Coach Steve Kasula. Jack, what makes this Wisconsin rushing defense so good?
Well, I think they're stout up front. They got 2 transfers at end, and Sebastian Cheeks and Mason Rieger, that have been really solid for them. And it's a Coach Tressel defense. He was the linebacker coach at Michigan State back in the day when I played. You always knew they were tough, they were physical, they were gap sound. They've played that way so far. I don't think they've seen a rushing attack like Michigan has, so it'll be interesting to see today how those things unfold. But they're big, they're sound, they're tough and dependable.
And a lot of times in run situations, they're in an odd front, which is a little bit different for offensive lines at the college level to try and decipher who are we double teaming up to, who are we not. The other thing that they like to do with some of those big boys that they have inside is it's in vogue in college football right now to have a lot of movement at the snap of the ball. Michigan needs to use that to their advantage. It's all about angles. It's about creating an advantage for yourself. Some of that comes with technique. A lot of that's going to come with the play selection from Chip Lindsey.
From the Badgers' offensive standpoint, a work in progress. Their starting quarterback to begin the season was injured in week 1, Billy Edwards. The Maryland transfer, Danny O'Neal, a little bit banged up last week. John, it just feels like we don't really know what the Badgers are offensively through 4 games.
No, and I don't know if they know who they are offensively through 4 games, because are they, they tried to go air raid. Now they've got a new offensive coordinator. Are they going back to being a power rushing team? They haven't been able to do that. They've thrown an interception in every game to this point. So this is an opportunity for this Michigan defense to really go on attack mode and find a way to pressure the quarterback, whoever's back there. And if they're a little bit banged up, there's nothing more important than continuing to hit a quarterback that's already trying to avoid as much contact as possible.
Well, I think it's ironic when you think of Wisconsin football, you always think about smash mouth football, big offensive line, I formation. They got away from that, trying to get back to that. They've always had such an identity, and now it seems to be the missing link in their offense. They just don't quite have one. Couple that with injuries, they're struggling to find their footing. As John said, an aggressive style of defense. They get after those quarterbacks, force the issue, should be good for Michigan's D.
The other hard thing to believe is that these 2 teams have not played since 2021. That game a turning point for the Wolverines as they surged down the stretch in Madison for a win. Remember, it marked the start of Michigan's channeling of a road crowd's energy, taking the vibes from that jump around tradition up there and using it to their advantage. The last time these 2 teams played in front of a crowd here at the Big House, 2018, and 9 years ago this past Wednesday, the Jordan Lewis one-handed interception that propelled Michigan to a narrow win in a top 10 matchup. These are 2 traditional Big Ten foes. It's always fun when these 2 teams match up.
Yeah, it is, and it's one of the old traditional rivalries in the Big Ten. It feels like now all the time we're traveling everywhere, but we love Camp Randall. They love coming to the Big House. Hopefully we're jumping around a lot today in the Big House, getting that big victory. It's crazy to think all those years ago was that Jordan Lewis interception. I think to this day, one of the best plays I've seen in college football, and it's good that they're back here, and we get to set the record straight with an old tradition in the Big Ten.
Yeah, we've gone from the original Big Ten to expanded Big Ten with divisions. We didn't get a chance to see them. We don't get a chance to see them all the time now, but this is an opportunity for a traditional matchup in the Big House. Wisconsin coming to town. I know the fans are excited. I'm excited. It's a noon kick, and it's time to get ready to go.
Chomping at the bit. Been 2 weeks since the Wolverines have been in action. 3 weeks since their last game at the Big House. That was game day edition of Inside Michigan Football. For John Jansen and Jack Miller, I'm Brian Bush. Go Blue.